Sean, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. Beautiful location. I think probably the craziest spot you could have a podcast. So good work.
This is
good
pretty
location.
incredible. We're out here on the cliffs of Uluwatu at the moment. And it was kind of a coincidence that we're both here at the same time, which is great.
Yeah, exactly.
So for those tuning in, Sean, you're the co-founder of Leelo Active, which is one of the fastest growing activewear brands in Australia. You're a soon-to-be husband. You're a father with another one on the way.
Yep.
There's a lot happening in your life. So I'm keen to catch up. I'm keen to talk e-commerce, life, finding balance.
Yep.
But to kick things off, let's start with some gratitude. What are you grateful for at the moment?
For sure. I think exactly this, being able to kind of be out in Bali, perfect lifestyle, work-life balance is, I find that I've kind of nailed that right now. I've got time to focus on the family, not stressed out like a lot of business owners. I think that we talk to, they're quite stressed, they're under the pump, but I think that right now I've found that perfect balance between work and life and being out here. So extremely grateful for that.
Let's talk about that balance, because I feel like everyone will, I'm assuming everyone's going for work-life balance and finding balance in life, but there's definitely seasons where you don't have balance, and that's inevitable as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And, you're saying you're in a stage now where that's what you're optimizing for and that's what you're looking for. And I feel like Bali must be a big part of that, right? You're spending more and more time here.
Yeah, 100%. I think you've got to kind of go through the hard years and kind of grind, and you really earn the right to this lifestyle. And yeah, the first 4 years were definitely those harder years where there was no balance. There was long hours, sleepless nights, the whole lot. But yeah, I feel like I've come out the other end of it now, and yeah, very grateful for that.
So let's go back to the beginning of Leelo, because this is now a 7-year journey, and there's been some headlines. Last year you hit your first $1 million day, which at the time,
$1 million hour.
$1 million hour, sorry, which I'm sure that would have felt amazing, but then it felt like only a few months later you were doing it again, and now it's just becoming a regular occurrence, which is insane. Yeah, but it wasn't always like that.
Yeah.
People see the headlines, they see the overnight success, but maybe they don't see the 4 or 5 years that you had before that. So take me back to day one. What did that look like?
Yeah, day one, 2019. I was 24 at the time, going on 25, and a little bit lost in life, like trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I was kind of packing up a modelling career. I was living in London in 2018, modelling for Nike, Puma, ASOS, and that was kind of the initial dream when I first left my 9-to-5 job, which I did from the age of 19 to 23. And yeah, kind of that didn't exactly pan out how I wanted it. When I was in London and doing the modelling thing, I quickly figured out that wasn't the life I wanted to live. And yeah, started 2019, went, look, I want to start a business. I built a little bit of a network. I understand the fashion industry and think I have half an idea. Really, I didn't, but I thought I had half an idea on how I could start a clothing brand and jump in there. So that was kind of where the initial place that I was in life when I first started out. And I think, it didn't take me long from idea to execution to launching, and that's kind of my style. I don't like to overthink things or drag my feet, so I kind of just jumped in the deep end, put my back against the wall, come up with a brand name, design some activewear, bulk order. That was like $26,000,
Wow.
Which was most of the money in my savings at the time. And I was like, all right, now I got to sell this stuff.
Yeah, and you started it with your partner, Bethany, right?
Yeah, correct. So we're 50-50 on it.
Is she the same as you, like with that kind of speed?
No, I would say that she is probably a little bit different to me in that way, but we balance each other out really nicely, and I think that that's key to a business partnership, and quite often you see a lot of successful business partners where they are very different in the way that they operate. So I'm more urgent, dialed in, a bit obsessed, and she is way more calm, relaxed, controlled.
Yeah, you see that so much in partnerships. One person's shooting from the hip. I'm sure that's you. And the other person often cleans it up and makes sure it's executed properly.
100%.
So speed loves success. Money loves speed. Sounds like you knew that very early. Talk to me about those first few years, because was there a stage where I'm sure you launched. Was there something that kind of took you to that next level 4 years in, 5 years in? Usually there's, a lever that you pull where you just get that market penetration and things start really happening quickly.
Yeah,
what was that for you?
100%. I think it was a combination of a few different things, putting myself in the right rooms, building a network, shaking hands, kissing babies in the early days, which a lot of brand owners forget that that's the fundamentals to really start to get people talking about you and really get yourself off the ground.
Yeah.
It was a lot of that face-to-face connection. It was the offline stuff that kind of paved the way. And then as we gained the traction, that's when I started dabbling with the paid advertising on Meta. I was very much a rookie, just started playing around, watching YouTube videos, following along, small budget. And that would have been, again, like a year and a half in. So I wish I'd probably started that a little bit sooner. But again, I wanted to build the foundations before I started just like throwing the paid money at it. I probably could have started earlier in hindsight, but either way, it started to work where I was gaining a bit of traction, started with, $20, $30 budget. That got a little bit of a return. And then it was like, all right, double. $50 a day, double $100 a day, double $200 a day. Yeah. Then your efficiency starts to get a little bit patchy. You can't keep going double. But, we continue to scale, and I got all the way up to, I would say, like spending $1,000 a day on my own when I was doing the media buying. And at that point, then I decided to outsource from there to an agency.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. And did you find that when you outsourced to an agency, the results rapidly improved, or were you still very much so in the account with them in the trenches?
Yeah, no, the results definitely came in. I think the fact that I was so green to e-commerce and understanding how to do paid advertising, Meta, Google, all the rest of it, I was definitely flying quite blind, even when it came to I think my pixels at the time were double attributing. I thought I was probably getting twice the ROAS that I was. Yeah. We're still doing well and we were making money, which was great, but again, like my style, I'm so scrappy with what I do. So I think handing it over to, the experts at the time was a great thing. And I think that as you kind of get to that point where spending more than like $1,000 a day, if the results aren't exactly where you want them to be, and there was a few patchy days, I think it was after Boxing Day, I'm going to say like 2021, the results were a little bit patchy, and I started to go, fuck, I'm spending $1,000 a day and not getting the results that I want, and I could potentially be the reason that the ship sinks here, and I felt like I would start to lose sleep over it. So it gave me a lot of peace to just be able to outsource that side of the business and then just start to really work on other things that I was really good at. And I don't think that that's where my expertise lies in media buying. I'm just a hustler.
A hustler. Yeah. I want to go back to a point you just made. You said that, you're scrappy. When is the right time to be scrappy, and is there any room for perfectionism in this game?
Oh, yeah, I'm still scrappy to this day, and I'm sure a lot of people that work around me closely will definitely attest to that. But yeah, it's probably played into my success, but I don't overthink things. But I think there's got to be a balance, and I think as the stakes get higher and, you've got a team around you, more responsibility, you do need to clean it up a little bit. And I think the big one for me now is probably having a family and playing the long game a little bit more. Whereas like in my 20s and starting the business out, it was like, I felt like there wasn't much to lose. There wasn't much to risk. So I was like, fuck it. Like, I'm just going to figure this shit out. And if it breaks, I'll fix it. Whereas it's probably now in the past year that I've started to become maybe a little less chaotic, a little less scrappy. I still am, but now I think I'm playing the long game a little bit more and going, hey, if I do that, might be risking too much here. So, yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk about the family component. You bring that up, and I would love to know how becoming a father has changed the way that you approach business, how you approach life. I know for a lot of entrepreneurs, when they get started, a why for a lot of people is to one day have a partner, one day have a family, and be able to support. And now you're in that spot. So yeah, tell me how Donnie has changed your life.
It changes a lot because, like, touching on that, I think when you first start out a business, and for me, I didn't really have much. I was living at home with the parents and was very much, the goal was to try and get to the point where I could financially support myself. And you're kind of in that survival mode. You break out of the survival mode and you're kind of surviving. And then I think the next chapter is thriving. And that coincided a little bit with then finding out that we were having Donnie, our little son, who's 10 months old now. And that wasn't planned either, crazy enough. Like, me and my partner have been together for 12 years, and yeah, just suddenly, bang, she's pregnant. And like the craziest story, found out when we were in Paris on her 30th birthday. I proposed on the same day, so we got engaged. And yeah, life just changed very fast from that moment, because I turned 30 in August. And I remember I was here in Bali celebrating, and you're thinking about the year ahead and all these plans, and the business is doing well, and you got all these kind of, I would say, somewhat selfish plans and aspirations for yourself at the time. And yeah, as soon as I found out that Beth was pregnant, I kind of like sidelined that very fast, and it was like I started to definitely become more, I guess, selfless, if that's the word for it. And yeah, like it was no longer, hey, I want to have a supercar by the age of 30, this, that, and the other. It was more like, all right, I got a kid on the way. It's time to kind of like build out the business in a way that's going to, you know, create a lifestyle where I can give him the love and attention that is required. And yeah, we kind of put that together. I'm going to say started to work on that start of 2025.
So tell me what that means. So, you know, creating a business that supports your lifestyle. Is that about automating things? Is that about getting the right team in place?
Yeah.
And did your goals change at all?
Yeah, 100%. So it was a mixture of systematizing things and automating things. And funnily enough, you're a big part of that as well. So obviously outsourcing to a 3PL for our fulfilment. I think that side of the business was causing the most friction and headaches for me at the time. Just, yeah, like as you know, you're in the fulfillment world. It takes a lot of mental capacity. It's operationally heavy. There's a lot of complexity to it. And again, it wasn't something that I was great at. So outsourcing that, huge win. And freed up a lot of stress, a lot of time, and a lot of mental capacity. Prior to the pregnancy and having the baby, we had casuals in the warehouse picking and packing orders. We had a full-time manager. We had a full-time social media manager and content creator, a full-time community and PR manager. And yeah, that was great at the time. I loved having a team around us, and when Beth and I could be in the office sidelining that team, it was incredible. But as we started to look at how we wanted our, you know, work-life balance to be, and the fact that we didn't want to always be in the office, we stepped away during the pregnancy, and we quickly realized that we couldn't give the love and attention that the team required. So on the back end of that, there was some tough conversations that were had, and we did end up moving towards a structure where we don't have any internal team members, and now we only work with contractors. And for me, I think that works really well. I think that it allows you to kind of scale up and down as the business requires, and those contractors hold themselves accountable. If they do the work really well, then they get more work and they get paid. If they don't do the work so well, then obviously it goes the opposite way. And that does sound brutal, but I do think that that's kind of the modern age e-commerce blueprint, and the way that the economy is now, it kind of feels like the best way forward for us. But at the same time, I have two viewpoints on that, because I do believe that having a successful business, you do have a responsibility to provide and grow a business and provide opportunity for people around you. But I see that as having the contractor dynamic to be a lot better than to have internal full-time team members.
Yeah, this is so incredibly interesting. And I want to dive deeper into this because, you know, I truly believe that we're now in the world of, you know, the one-person e-commerce brand, the one-person unicorn startup.
Yeah.
And you're a great example of that. You know, you're turning over tens of millions of dollars a year, and you just said, like, your team is now practically zero.
Yeah.
And you're relying on contractors who, you know, are probably, they can be remote, they work their own hours, as long as they get the job done, they get paid.
And they can make a lot more money as well.
And make a lot more money.
Yeah.
This is super fascinating. So I guess I'd like to talk about both sides of that. So from the e-commerce brand perspective, like, you know, companies with teams now, like how should they think about, you know, empowering their staff with tools like AI, and also what does the future org chart look like? But then also for these people on the other side that might be content creators, ad buyers, you know, SEO, whatever it is, you know, how should they adapt to make sure that they're relevant in this new world that we're in?
Yeah, I don't know if I have the perfect answer for that, and I don't believe that I was the best person at building company culture and having an internal team. But what I do believe in is empowering people and showing them what their opportunity is. And if that means that maybe you've had a full-time team member for 2-3 years, they're asking for more opportunity, maybe higher pay, all of the rest of it, allowing them to understand that there is that contractor route to go down, and that allows them to service not only you but other businesses, and that increases their earning capacity. And I think that that's a fair play as a business owner, to not only be like, oh, I want to be selfish and keep them to myself and bottle them up and kind of restrict them in a little way. I don't know if you do you kind of understand that in a way that you can show them that that's an option. For a lot of my team members that did move out of that internal position, they went into the contractor style dynamic, and a lot of them have also started their own businesses in other areas, and I do back them in. And I think that in 12 months, 24 months, they're going to look at those changes and be like, I'm so happy that I made that move. Yes, it was uncomfortable at the time, because it can become very comfortable, right, to work as a 9-to-5 worker, have your salary, be told what to do, blah, blah, blah. But you go into that contractor thing, and as you said, you've got to hold yourself accountable. You've got to do the work. Otherwise, you don't get paid. But it increases your earning potential massively. And once you get through that uncomfortable period, you very quickly realize, hey, I have the ability to do this. And that's where growth happens, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you mentioned there that you don't consider yourself the best at leading a team and building culture, but I beg to differ. And I think that,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, what you're building now is very forward thinking and very futuristic.
Thank you.
And I'm sure that there is an element of, you still need to have some kind of culture to keep contractors, and especially like contractors that are, very good at their work, because they can easily go earn elsewhere, but they're choosing to stay with you. So in a world where you're now remote, the team's contractors, how do you still keep everyone unified, ensuring that they're all aligned on the main mission? Yeah,
for sure. I think it's tight communication, Slack, WhatsApp. I'm always there communicating with the team. I want to feel personal connections as well. And like with yourself, Noah, Nick, like the guys from Future, it's like, we've trained together, we've gone for dinners together. Like, I want it to feel like we're a family as well. And it's not all about business, making money and being transactional. I think that it goes deeper than that. And that's across the board, from marketing team, fulfilment team. I want everyone that works with me to feel like they're on a personal level with me, and that we're not only in a business partnership and a contract, but we're also friends and almost family as well. So
I love that. When the lines between work and life and colleague and friends, when it starts to blur.
It's when everything feels better, right? Like,
everything feels better. It feels, it becomes a lifestyle, and it's, that's why I do it. Yeah. Really. 100%. So before we were talking off camera, and, you were explaining that you don't feel like the traditional business person, and there's this whole paradigm here that you're shifting, and, you're kind of traversing worlds here. Yeah. And I want you to talk to me more about that, because, often for people, it's very easy to walk the path that's already paved. And I would say that you're someone that has absolutely created your own path, and you continue to do that and inspire others while you're at it. Yeah. So, talk to me about that whole frame of mind.
Yeah, it's something that I'm a firm believer in, and how I want to carry myself in life is to kind of have that paradox and be a bit unpredictable. And so like, you can be earning a ton of money but still be out here in Bali, board shorts, Havianas, tank top, no watch. It doesn't matter, but then like back home, got the G-Wagon, got the nice apartment on the beach.
How good's that car, by the way?
Beautiful. Fellow G-Wagon owner. So I'm sure we can both connect on that. But like, you get over here in Bali and you've got a scooter, and it's dusty and it's a bit dirty, but I love that side of life as well. So I kind of love jumping in and out of the luxury, the finer side of life, but also coming to a place like Bali, or, last weekend I was in Sumba, which is even more disconnected, and like going fishing, going surfing, like that is kind of where I really thrive the most.
I saw the photos from Sumba that you posted.
Beautiful.
Incredible. I need to make it over there.
Yeah.
So on this whole idea of going from somewhere like Australia to Bali, where the lifestyle's so different, and I felt the same way, because I moved over here. I did 18 months solid here, and it was so nice to step away from this whole idea of, keeping up with the Joneses, keeping up with the next door neighbors. I was living in an affluent suburb in Melbourne, so big houses, beautiful cars. And even if I didn't realize it at the time, subconsciously, it was like, I felt like that was the game that I was in, and that's what success looked like. It was the big office, it was the big head count, and it was, it was materialistic in a way. And then to your point, you come to somewhere like Bali, everyone's on the same scooter. There's no,
it
better
feels like
scooter.
an even playing ground.
It's
you wouldn't know if someone's earning 50 million a year or 50 grand a year. It's like
100%, and I love that. However, after spending so much time here, there were some areas where I started to feel complacency creeping in, because there was nothing to prove. And that's a beautiful thing. It's humbling, 2 feet on the floor. But at the same time, I was like, hey, I'm still young, I'm ambitious. And that's why I actually made the move back to the city. And most of my time is in Melbourne, and I'm still coming here. I mean, I have villas here. I come here 4 times a year, and that's great. So how do you strike a balance, and is one better than the other?
I love that piece, because it's like a lot of, people that aren't in business or they're aspiring to get into business. This is what I always talk about, that there's kind of like fear and desire that motivates you. There's intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, and you got to play on both and figure out what's going to be your motivating factor. And
can you break that down? So you said intrinsic and extrinsic?
Yeah. So I would say intrinsic is the kind of internal things, and then the extrinsic stuff is more material. Like, hey, I want the supercar, I want the Lamborghini, I want the material stuff. And then I would say the intrinsic stuff is the stuff that genuinely feeds your passion, feeds your desire, and those kind of feelings that motivate you, rather than those things that are external, that are motivating you and pushing you along.
So those external things that you're talking about, I feel like it's very easy for people to, go online, look at social media, compare themselves to others in terms of materialism or even experiential things. And it's easy to define what success looks like, because society has kind of painted a picture of what that looks like. Versus the internal stuff, well, that's a very different journey.
100%.
And for people that maybe haven't found that yet, what would be your advice to them?
Well, I think we all have to go through it. And it's funny because even I would say you can relate to this, but before you get into business and kind of create that success and make the money, it's hard to really understand how fleeting and temporary the material stuff is. You get the car, you hit the financial goal or whatever, and then it's on to the next thing and stuff. And it's very temporary, and it feels, it's hard to just sit there and talk about this to someone that hasn't been through it. I think that everyone has to go through it on their own and experience that for themselves. Otherwise, it's just what is he talking about? Fucking, you know what I mean? You should be so lucky you've got X, Y, Z, but it's so temporary, the material stuff. And I think that eventually you have to find deeper purpose to continue to motivate yourself through. And I've probably had that battle the most in the last 12 months, where I feel like I'm not the person that wants the mansion, the full garage of supercars. I just wanted to be able to feel free, feel comfortable, be able to kind of do whatever I want in life and not have to answer to anyone, and just have that freedom. That was me, and I feel like I've got there now. So the next challenge is what's the next thing that really gets you out of bed and motivates you to continue to push this thing and grow it? And I've very much been going through different things that I'm trying to figure out that make me want to, double the business, triple the business, get it to 100 mil plus. It's why? I could keep it at this level and still live a beautiful life. What's the reason as to why I would want to go to 100 million and above? And I think that now it's there is the family aspect of building maybe generational wealth, but I don't think that that's the perfect solution either, because I've kind of had friends that have gone through that where their parents have been very wealthy and their life hasn't necessarily panned out perfectly. So that's a challenging one to think about. So I don't think that the generational wealth thing is something that I'm super interested in. I think charitable stuff is really cool, and trying to figure out how I can have an impact on others' lives. So even recently, after we did our big sale day in June, a few days later I went to Bali Baby Home, which is a charity out here, and they kind of support like orphans that have been abandoned by their families. And I think that that's a great cause. And just like going there, and like obviously I'm very connected now as a father. I've gone through like having a baby, and like I feel a deeper purpose to that. So it's little things like that where it's like, hey, if I can make more money and have an impact on those kind of things, then that's amazing as well. So I'm trying to figure that piece out too. I think that that's something that could really motivate me, and I think that's something that I'd be very proud of as well over the years.
Absolutely. I'd just like to take a moment to shout out that charity you mentioned, because this is something that I really believe in as well, and having lived here, I've seen it firsthand. But where can people find out about that, and how can they donate?
Instagram. I know that there was recently a girl over here called Aline Cassidy that did an amazing GoFundMe. I think she's raised like over $400,000. And that's where I first came across it, saw her Instagram reel showing behind the scenes and what they were doing. And I was like, damn, like that is a very powerful cause. And I think that that's something that, I very much feel connected to. So,
You also made a comment about building, generational wealth, and how you see both the upside but also the downsides potentially to that.
Yeah.
And it's something that I've thought about as well. Just like you, I came from a humble home. However, it was full of love and opportunity. But I've also met people where I've seen the downsides of it, and I've actually met people where it's completely different, and they're actually hungrier and more motivated than ever, which is also very inspiring. I would love to talk about this duality, because as a father yourself, this is something that you're going to go through.
Yeah, I think about it
in the coming
a lot.
years, maybe not yet now. I don't think Donnie realizes how much those first class tickets are that you're traveling around with him.
The 5-star hotels, the first class flights.
But let's chat about it, because it's like, as a father instilling values in your child, how do you create someone that, one, has all the confidence in the world to be the best and be the greatest and believe that they can be, but also have 2 feet firmly on the ground and be humble and know that, that hunger and that ambition and drive to actually, build something when maybe, they're chilling. They're like, well, I don't really need to. So,
100%.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, think about it a lot. Don't have the perfect answer, but I think that I have to lead by example and show the duality in life. And I think that's why I love being here in Bali and showing him this side of life, going to Sumbai. I mean, he's too young to even notice it now. He's only 10 months old, but I think as he gets older and he can acknowledge different sides to life and how different people live. And I think going to Sumba and seeing the villages and the kids around there, and they're running around and they just got their board shorts on and they're on the beach and they got the horses and the coconuts, and there's that side of life. And I think that it's, just pulling him away from the West, like being in Australia, it's like the 9 to 5, the house, chasing the wealth and all those kind of things. It's showing them the other side to life. And I think that that's the most important thing, is leading by example, showing him different sides to life. And at the end of the day, he's going to make that decision on his own. I think that you can't force it too hard. You've just got to lead by example and show them the way, and hope to God that he turns out like a good boy.
That's a great answer, and I'm sure he will. He's got 2 amazing parents.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'd love to shift back to Leelo for a minute. I know you guys have some exciting plans in the future, and you're already changing the way you run your team. I'm sure there's many other aspects of the business that you're also seeing differently and changing to keep up with what e-commerce is today, because it has evolved so much.
For sure.
So what does the next, where are we? It's July. What does the next 6 months look like? We're heading into Q4.
Yeah, the big one for me, international expansion. It has to happen. It's something that I beat myself up a little bit about on stalling. I think that I was so tunnel vision on doing the Australian market really well, and I think we have done that well. We hit somewhere between 20 to 30 mil this year. Very proud of that within especially the Australian market. It's got a cap potential. There's only a certain population here. It's a little bit smaller than obviously the US, the UK, Europe, those bigger markets. That's where you can really unlock those numbers. So I'm happy that I got to where I did in the Australian market, but now it's really going, all right, how do I get to 100 million and above? And I think that's
going overseas,
shifting our focus to international markets. So working with the future team, Shanghai fulfillment, gateway to the international markets. And then as we gain traction in those markets, going, all right, let's get feet on the ground in those markets, whether it's US 3PL, EU 3PL, and really servicing those customers to the best of our ability, especially the female activewear consumer. They really want that quick delivery. They're not the ones to want to wait too long. It's like see now, buy now, want now, or want yesterday for that matter. So yeah, it's just figuring that piece out as well. And I think that there's a lot of amazing brands out there that are really paving the way for that blueprint. So I can see it very clearly. I know what I need to do over the next 6 months to make that happen. It's just putting it all into motion. I know I can do it. And yeah, honestly, I can see that 9-figure, not too far off in the distance, because you see it, like even in the last few months, we went from like 30 to 40K a day to like 70 to 80K a day within 6 to 8 weeks. It's like you can see that there's not that much friction to scaling. And if you understand what you need to do, get the creative flywheel going, have your media buying strategy tapped in, your PR, your ambassadors, affiliates, social media strategy, the game. It's like once you have all the pieces together, you can scale. You can do a hell of a lot more than what you think you can. So that excites me a lot. And I think that there's also been this side to me of thinking that like I've constantly got to be expanding the catalog and new product, newness. That's what's going to grow the business. I've shifted my perspective a little bit now, knowing that I think with the current catalog that I can still scale aggressively, especially if I go into the international markets. That's where the unlocks are going to be. Whereas in the Australian market, I'm always thinking 80-20, 20% of my focus, constant newness, my catalog's expanding out. You end up with dead stock, it becomes messy. Now I know, like even just our Sculpt wide leg pants, I can probably get that to like fucking crazy numbers, just that single product, right? It's like, that's my focus now, is go all in. Yeah.
That's awesome. So good. I think the fact that you cracked one market first and built a very substantial business in Australia. Yep. And mind you, Australia is not the easiest market either. No. If you can do it in Australia, typically that's a good sign. You should be able to copy and paste that in other markets and see success. A lot of brands will go down the route of setting up fulfillment and infrastructure around the world. You chose to have a central hub in China, which I think is awesome. And that's why we're investing so heavily in our operation over there, because I see that as the future
100%.
of e-commerce. But yeah, what was the reason that you gravitated towards that rather than, maybe doing it the old way of having multiple hubs everywhere?
Yeah, I think it's probably just simplicity and not overcomplicating things. I think once you spread yourself all over the place, like trying to really do things well, you're gonna spread yourself too thin. And yeah, like China, amazing. Like I do 1 to 2 trips a year there now. The team that we've got out there is incredible. The suppliers, we're so tight with them. They support us, and really that's the layers to the business. Like you kind of see the Australian team and who we work with out there, but there's a whole other piece to what happens out in China, the suppliers and all the rest of it. And I think getting out there and going for the dinners, seeing behind the scenes how business and their culture works, it's so different to how Australia works. And I think that that's been an incredible unlock for me as well. And I have so much confidence in the team out there. And yeah, I would place big bets in that area.
I love it over there. And I have this weird feeling that I'm going to spend a lot of time over there, similar to that feeling I had when I came to Bali. Like long stints over there. It's just the land of opportunity. And I think that if you're in e-commerce, for anyone out there, go to the source, even if you're just starting out.
Go stay at the Four Seasons Hotel, 100 floors up, and just look at the view, and it excites you because you're like, this city, the opportunity in Guangzhou particularly.
Yeah, it's so incredible.
Yeah.
Well, we just lost the sun.
I need to take the sun.
Yeah, we can do that. Hey, see you now. But Sean, I just want to say that it was great to catch up. Thank you for sitting down with me and having this conversation. And I look forward to continuing to work with you as well as you grow Leelo. It's super exciting.
Yeah.
And how about we go next door now?
Yeah, let's go smash a burger. But no, likewise, straight back at you. I appreciate the hell out of you. I think that our partnership goes so much further than just business. And yeah, I look forward to us both growing, expanding, achieving all that, we're going and shooting for. And yeah, to the moon. I think we're both going to keep killing it. So
let's do it,
brother.
man. Let's do it.